where animals, they buried the bones. We found pottery vessels full with animal bones buried in the ground. That indicates to us that those meals over here were religious ceremonies. Those people criticized the temple in Jerusalem, so the meals they had over here actually replaced the sacrificial meals that were happened in the temple in Jerusalem. I was actually didn't mean to sit down, but I see you want to shake. I wanted to continue. Since again, I'm trying to remember that that's going to be our almost last time to talk about it. So I'll give you a little bit more than what I was planning to talk about. Three main groups at Jesus' time: Judaisms, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Essenes. And many people think that the Qumran people are the Essenes, okay? But I told you there is a second opinion as well. So I want to talk about this very, very quickly, because each one of those groups claim that they are right. Each one of them find their own way to interpret the biblical scriptures to fit their own agenda, okay? And those were the elite people of Jesus' time. We don't know what the common people thought about those Sadducees, Essenes, and Pharisees, okay? But they were the elite of the society at Jesus' time. The Sadducees, that we met them already in Jerusalem, they were the high priests in Jerusalem and their followers, okay? They were considering themselves descendants of Tzedok. Tzedok was the priest of King Solomon. And their followers, and they believe that God gave them the authority. Where they took it from, if you go to the book of Deuteronomy, it says over there that if you don't know what to do, you need to go to the priest, and the priest will tell you what to do. Okay, so if you don't know what to do, I'm the priest, you come to me and I'll tell you what to do. Okay, so they believe that the Bible, God, gave them the permission to interpret the biblical scriptures. Okay, and that's the source of their authority. On the other hand, you got the Pharisees. The Pharisees believe that there is an oral text. The Pharisees will see Moses as the first Pharisee. They believe that on Mount Sinai, Moses received two Torah and not one. Okay? One written Torah and one oral, verbal explanations to go with it. Okay? Because you cannot understand the Torah fully if you don't have the verbal, oral explanations to go with it. So they saw Moses as the first Pharisee, and they had the Mesorah. Mesorah means given from generation to generation to generation. So the Pharisees didn't see their oral text as invented. They actually thought that they inherited from Moses, from Mount Sinai, and even the oral text is more important than the scriptures itself. Okay? And now we get the Essenes. Those guys actually understood the scriptures as it is. They had their own books that they added to the Bible, and they understood everything in the scriptures the way it is. They understood it literally. Like we just said, you must study Bible day and night, so you must study Bible day and night. And every time they took it to the more radical interpretation. I'll give you just one quick example. In the Bible, if a man needs to do what a man needs to do, he needs to take a shaffle. So if you join the community, you will receive a shaffle, and that's to go outside the camp and to dig a hole and to do what a man needs to do. Okay? The Pharisees, and to keep your camp clean, like it's asked to be in the book of Leviticus. Now, the Pharisees just will use the bathrooms, and they found a way to compromise and still to keep the words of the Bible. Okay, you don't really have to go. Just imagine how many times in Jerusalem, such a great city, and everybody have to leave the city and to dig a hole, the whole Jerusalem surrounding will look like... so that's what they found, okay? But for the Essenes, no tricks whatsoever. Everybody got the shaffle, and you do exactly as it's written at the scriptures. But what you're going to do in the day of Shabbat? You're not allowed to go outside the camp. You're not allowed to dig a hole. So what are you going to do in the day of Shabbat? You don't.
Yeah, hold it.
You don't. They hold it for the whole Shabbat. actually a synagogue. Before they didn't, they thought synagogues came after the temple, replaced the temple. Okay, now we actually found 138 synagogues. So now we can say something meaningful about synagogues because we have something to compare. Yes, and the same goes for ritual bath. We found the first ritual bath. Nobody was able to say, nobody dared to say it's a ritual bath. Okay, now we've got 800 ritual baths, and the new book that summarizes all what we know about ritual bath came 1 year ago and 2 years ago, and I can read it to you and tell you all of, some things about it. Okay, so again, only now, although Israel was excavated in the last 150 years, and more so since the Six-Day War, only now the archaeologists finishing publishing everything. You know, when you excavate in archaeological excavations and you start publishing, you start in the early Bronze Age, you go to the Middle Bronze Age, yes. So, and then you go to the Persian time, Hellenistic time, and only 5 years ago they finished publishing everything I told you about Jerusalem, 1 acre of excavations under the Jewish quarter. Only 5 years ago they published about Jesus time archaeology.
Wow.
So they excavated it 1970s after the Six-Day War. Only now they finished publishing about this.
Wow.
So that's why we probably next time you come we have more things to tell.
And I think I read that just a year ago they found more things in caves, correct?
They found cave number 12 and they didn't find any scrolls in it, but we're looking for cave number 13 and there is more discoveries to be made, and I'm sure there is more discoveries in the future, and just fascinating times.
Yeah, how do you know there's a cave number 13?
They're looking for it.
But how do you know it exists? I mean, how did you know that each of these were
They
numbers?
don't know if it exists, but there's still chances to find it.
Okay, I gotcha.
And all over the Judean desert, 2 years ago, we were actually not allowed to talk about this, but they made a huge survey. They researched all the caves of the Judean desert one more time. They were doing it last time in the 1970s, and 2 years ago, they researched again all of the caves of the Judean desert and found more new finds.
Right.
Wow.
Just to make sure they were the ones to find it.
And not the robbers.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're going to hear more and more and more.